What's up to all the watchers and viewers out there? Welcome back to another episode of Season of the Fan. Before we completely get in earnest into this series for the 2016-17 Philadelphia Eagles season, of course we have to have the annual MightyFan's NFL predictions video, and I know that you have been waiting on this with bated breath and waiting to see who I screw up with this year and picking to win it all. Well, anyhow, last year didn't go too well. Last year's picks didn't go too well, though. I do hope to rebound this year. Hopefully, I can get the predictions a little better this year. Of course, it's not an exact science, but all I can do is try. So let's roll them out. So I'm going to do the division winners, the wild card winners, and also, of course, the Super Bowl 51 opponents, and the winner of Super Bowl 51 in Houston, Texas, this year, or next year, I should say, next February. So, anyhow, let's get right into it. We'll start with the division winners, and since the Eagles play in the NFC as I do every year, I kind of do the baseball thing where the home, league will go last. So we'll go AFC first, then NFC. We'll go wild cards. We'll go, Super Bowl and all that. So let's get right into it. So first off, let's go to the AFC. We'll go to the AFC East. Of course, we know Tom Brady suspended for the first 4 weeks of the season, and though I don't think that's going to hurt the Patriots as much as some might think, I think it is enough to slow them down, slow the roll, as it were. So I am going to go. What I'm also going to do, by the way, is I'm also going to give you how I think the divisions are going to shake out, from first to last. I haven't done that yet, I don't believe, so I'm kind of throwing a new wrinkle into it this year. So AFC East, because of the suspension to Tom Brady, I do think the Patriots will get off to a slower start than perhaps some of the teams that would have, their full arsenal at the ready to start the season. And really, their only threats in that division so far, really going into this season, are the Jets and the Bills. I think the Dolphins are still a year or so away from really, competing in that division. The Jets, I like the Jets. I like what they did this offseason, bringing in Matt Forte, of course, from the Bears. Now he's reunited with Brandon Marshall. I think that they have a pretty dynamic offense. I really like their defense, and of course, head coach Todd Bowles, Temple Tough, has put together a heck of a team and knows how to coach pretty good, as he showed last year, almost making the playoffs in his first year as head coach of the Jets. Not meant to be, but I do think, all this being said, I'm going to go with the New York Football Jets to win the AFC East this year in a close one over the Patriots and over the Bills to get that division title. And I base that off of Tom Brady's 4-game suspension too, because I think the Patriots might get off to a bit of a slow start, and by slow start they might go 2-2. They may go 1-3 to start the season, whereas the Jets, I think, have a better chance to start strong, and that start will help them win the division title at the end. All right, let's go AFC North. And by the way, I don't have any cards or anything. I'm just kind of going off the top of my mind. The order of that division, too, we're going to go Jets first and division champs. Patriots will finish second in a close one against the Bills. The Bills will finish third, and the Dolphins will finish fourth. So let's go to the AFC North, the black and blue division. The Steelers, the Bengals, the Browns, division, and of course the Ravens. The Bengals are one of those teams, man. Every year they do well. They're like the regular season champs, right? They do really well in the regular season. They win the division title, or make the playoffs as a wild card, and then they can't win a playoff game. So, now the Steelers kind of have a similar situation that the Patriots do, whereas the Steelers are going to be without Le'Veon Bell, who I drafted in my fantasy league, by the way. I'm hoping to have those late turnaround, dividends with him as the season goes on. They're without their starting running back Le'Veon Bell for the first 3 weeks due to suspension. And of course, they have a lot of weapons. Now, Now the Bengals are the defending division champions, and they had a heck of a year until Dalton goes down with injury. The Bengals are 8-0, off to like one of their best starts in franchise history, playing really well. And then of course the injury to Dalton kind of derailed them a bit, but they still won the division. I know the Steelers had some injuries there, but you know what? The Bengals still won the division, and overtook the Steelers for a division title, and played pretty well. And of course lost this to the Steelers in that crazy playoff game in the wild card in Cincinnati last year. Now, with all due respect to the Bengals, here's the difference between the Patriots and the Steelers due to the suspensions. The Steelers' suspension to Le'Veon Bell, I don't think is going to hurt them as much as the suspension would for the Patriots or Tom Brady, only because the Steelers have D'Angelo Williams backing up Le'Veon Bell. And he showed in his role last season, once Bell went out with injury, that he could really, be a very good back in that system in Pittsburgh. And that being said, I think the Steelers are gonna play pretty good. I think once they get Le'Veon Bell back, it's going to be even better for them. I think he's going to have a really solid year. Big Ben's going to have another really solid year. Of course, Antonio Brown. The Steelers do have a player suspended for the full season. Of course, I think it's Bryant. He's going to be out, but I do think the Steelers are going to be able to overcome that with hopefully a healthy Le'Veon Bell this season, and of course Antonio Bryant. Of course, Heath Miller also retired, so new tight end there. But in the end, I still like the Steelers' offense. I think the problem for the Bengals is going to be that they lost two of their top receivers from a year ago, in Sanu and Jones. And of course, A.J. Green's still going to be A.J. Green, but I think that's going to be a lot kind of to overcome. We'll see if they can, get the new guys in there playing well. Tyler Eifert's also going to be out for the first few weeks. So I think they're going to have some issues there on offense, unless the running game can continue to go well for them. But with all this being said, I think it's the Steelers' division to win this year. I'm going to go with the Steelers to win the AFC North. I think the Bengals finish second. I'm going to go Ravens third and the Browns fourth in another rebuilding year for them. In the AFC South, this is the Division I last year bye. The host team of the Super Bowl this year, Houston Texans. The Texans came back from a tough start of the season, came back to win the division. Of course, Andrew Luck goes down with the injury. He's out for the rest of the season. That kind of derailed things for the Colts. And the Jaguars were better, but they're still building. The Titans as well. This is a tough one. This could be a real coin flip, but I'm going to go with the defending champs. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. The Super Bowl's in Houston this year. That might give them even more motivation to have a really great year. I don't think that they'll be in the Super Bowl. Little spoiler alert there. No host team has ever been in the Super Bowl. I don't think that changes this season. But I do like the Texans to continue, to win the division for the second straight year. I like the addition of Osweiler. I also like the addition of Lamar Miller. And, of course, they got, Hopkins there who just beasts out no matter who's throwing him the ball. So, of course, that defense, too. I mean, that defense is the best defense in the division. That's why I'm going to go. That's another reason why I'm hanging my hat in that division for the Houston Texans. And I'm going to say this, and this might come as a complete shock to some people. This is my order of the division in the AFC North. I'm going to go with the Texans to win the division. And then I am going to go, surprise, surprise, with the Jacksonville Jaguars to come in second, just edging out the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are going to have a good year, but their offensive line really scares me. I think their defense is pretty solid, but at the same time, I think they could be very inconsistent, and I really like what they're doing in Jacksonville. I love that offense, and that defense, I think, is just going to get better and better. So I'm going to go Jacksonville 2, Colts 3, and the Titans 4 in that division. And now let's go to the AFC West, of course, the division that hosts the defending Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos. The Broncos also won the division last season en route to their Super Bowl championship. The season starts out in Denver this year with a rematch of Super Bowl 50 with the Broncos and Panthers. You got the Broncos, you got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers, and of course the Raiders. And this again might come as a surprise to some people, and maybe not, but as far as the order of the division, I'm going to go with my pick to win the AFC West is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I really like what the Chiefs have put together on defense, and their offense is certainly coming along. Last season, they showed that they can throw touchdown passes to wide receivers, which was something that helped them during the year. Of course, they had former Eagle Jeremy Maclin there as their top wideout. I really like what Kansas City's done. I think they're the most complete team in that division. Of course, you talk about the Broncos losing a future Hall of Famer, Peyton Manning, who rode off into the sunset last season as Super Bowl champion, and now they're going with a relative unknown at quarterback. Their defense is still going to be really good, and their defense is going to be the strength of the team this season. But I do like Kansas City. I think Kansas City wins that division. Number 2, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Denver. I'm going to go with Denver only because I think that defense is still, is still going to ball out. I think they're still going to, do their thing. Their offense is going to score enough points. Now, this was close. I almost went with the Raiders. I almost went with the Raiders to finish second in the division. But there's something about a defending champion. And sometimes, the old line from Rudy Tomjanovich is you never underestimate the heart of a champion. And even though the Broncos lost Peyton Manning in the offseason to retirement and they lost some other players, I still think they're going to be good enough at least to get that second in the division, just ahead of the Raiders. Maybe even tie with the Raiders in record, maybe get a tiebreaker or something like that in there. And I think they just edge out the Raiders, who I definitely think are on the right track. I think the Raiders are definitely going to have a better year. I think they're trending upwards. But I still like the Broncos to finish ahead of the Raiders, and then last will be the Chargers. And now the wild cards out of the AFC. I am going to go with the New England Patriots, and I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. The defending champions, I think, get in again in the postseason. And, of course, the Patriots, even though they don't win the division, I think they get in as that first wild card in the AFC. NFC. All right, let's go west to east. NFC West. Boy, this is a tough one, right? You got the Seahawks. You got the Cardinals. They're just going to battle it out all year long. And last year, I think one of the things that cost the Seahawks the division title was their slow start. They got out to a bit of a slow start. I think they were like 1-3 after their first 4 games or something like that. Now, they rebounded nicely. They did lose beast mode during the season for the rest of the season, and Russell Wilson balled out the rest of that year. He put up MVP numbers. Wasn't the MVP, but he certainly had a great resurgence and helped lead the Seahawks back to the postseason. This is a tough division to call, but I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm going to go with the Seahawks because I think they get off to a better start this year than they did a year ago. I like what they're doing in Arizona. I still think they're going to be a real solid team, but I got to give the edge just a bit to the Seattle Seahawks to win the NFC West. And then behind them will be the Cardinals, who the Seahawks just edge out. And then I'm going to go with the to finish third. And this is a tough one too, but I'm going to go with the team that's back home, the LA Rams, to finish third, and then the 49ers, the Chip Kelly led San Francisco 49ers to finish fourth. Sorry to 49 Cents and company, but the Chip, he's got to finish last this year. A little biased, I know, but anyhow, that's the order I see it in the NFC West. Going to go to the NFC North now, and of course, now this was one of the few things I got right last year. I said the Vikings would win the NFC North, and I said that last season because of the injury, the season-ending injury to Jordy Nelson. I just didn't think that without Aaron Rodgers' BFF during the season, I think that was going to be something that was going to give them some trouble, and it turned out to be true. They won games. The Hail Mary game in Detroit and whatnot, but it just wasn't good enough to win a division title. The Vikings did go on to win the division title, so at least they got something right last season, right? But this season, I'm going to give it back to Green Bay. Obviously, you talk about what happened last year with Green Bay, right? The season-ending injury to Jordan Nelson in the preseason. Well, this year, of course, the Vikings lose their quarterback. Jordy was a wide out, but the Vikings lose their starting quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater and of course our old friend here in Philadelphia, Sam Bradford, goes there. I think that does hurt the Vikings this season. I don't think it hurts them tremendously, as far as postseason aspirations go, but I do think it hurts them as far as winning that division. I know Green Bay has some question marks. Obviously, there's some question marks flying around about the defense and all, but Rodgers does get his BFF back this season in Jordy Nelson, and even without him last year, Rodgers had a pretty good season, as he does just about every year. So I got to give the Packers the division in the NFC North. Get it back from the Vikings. I think it'll be a tough division for them. I think it will be a tough battle, I should say, for them to win that division. They'll be back, going at it with the Vikings for that division title. But I do like the Packers to get the division. The Vikings will come in second, and then I got to go with the Lions third, Bears fourth, and that's how I see the NFC North shaking out. The NFC South. Of course, the NFC South has last year's runner-up in the Super Bowl, the Carolina Panthers. They had a tremendous year a year ago. You got the Panthers, you got the Falcons, who I think did better last season than some people thought they would. And then you got the Buccaneers, of course, Jameis Winston, his second season in the league. And, of course, the Saints, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary this season. So a pretty cool season for them. The division champion, I just, it's hard to go against the team that won the NFC last year. Not only the division title, but the NFC. I mean, the Panthers are still pretty loaded. So you got to give it up to Mr. Dab there, Cam Newton. Yeah, Dab to the Panthers and let them win the division title. So I'm going to go with the Panthers 1. 2, I'm going to go with the... this is a tough one, man, because it's a coin flip. But I'm going to go with the... Tampa Bay Buccaneers to finish second, the Atlanta Falcons to finish third, and the team celebrating their 50th anniversary, the New Orleans Saints, to finish fourth in that division. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a close division race. I even think for first place it might be a tight division, but I think the Panthers get it. And coming in close with that second three, like right edging one another, will be the Bucs and the Falcons, and then the Saints finish last. And then my division, the Eagles division, the NFC East. So last year, the Washington Redskins basically won it by default. It was a horrible division. The Redskins, I believe, were like 9-7 and won the division. I mean, they were pretty much the winner of just the ugly division. I mean, they were the prettiest in the ugly division. Okay, so. So they ended up winning the division. They go off this offseason. They bring in Josh Norman as a free agent. Panthers somehow let him go. The Redskins get him. We're going to see if Kirk Cousins, can continue to build off of what he did a season ago. You like that? So the Redskins won the division. Of course, the Eagles finished second a year ago. This is a tough call. I want to go with my heart, and I want to say the Eagles, even though they trade away Sam Bradford, and now we have kind of the unknown at quarterback, which could be Carson Wentz. It could be Chase Daniel to start the season. But Carson Wentz, they say, if he's healthy, he's starting week 1. And if he's not starting week 1, I would imagine he'll be starting week 2, week 3 at the absolute latest. Due to that, I do think that Carson Wentz is going to be a solid pro, but due to the fact that we really don't know what he's going to be right away, the fact that Dallas lost Tony Romo for half the season, and I do think they have a better backup with Dak Prescott than they did last season when it was like a revolving door at quarterback. I think they're in better hands with Prescott, and of course they got Ezekiel Elliott. If he can just stay away from the drug paraphernalia stores, he'll be okay. But of course he's a Cowboy. I think they all... Why did he even have to go there? Couldn't he have just, called Nate Newton up or something and, go with the Cowboy alumni there and see if good old Nate still has the good stuff in his trunk of his car? I mean, I don't know. But anyhow, yes. It's a tough division to call because, again, this year I don't think it's going to be a great division. I think it will be better. I definitely think the teams will have better records than they did a year ago. But I am going to go with... And I do this only because I just don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be like this year with the Eagles. I don't think it's going to be horrible by any stretch, but just there's that unknown. I mean, we don't really know what Carson Wentz is going to be because we only saw him for a couple series in the preseason. So I gotta give the nod to the Redskins to repeat as division champions. You know, they did it last season. I think they'll do it again this season, maybe with like a 10-6 record, something like that. I think the Eagles come in second, and I say that because I think the Eagles defense is really going to be good. I think it's going to be the best division the best defense in the division, as I said yesterday when I was doing the Bradford video, the Bradford trade video. I really like this defense, and for that reason, I'm going to give the Eagles the nod to finish second in the division title. Maybe they go 8-8, maybe even 9-7, but I think that's good enough to finish second in the division behind Washington. Coming in third, I'm going to go. I'm going to go Dallas. I'm going to go Dallas because I do think they win some more games this year. I think Prescott, I don't even know what he's going to be. I know he was the preseason MVP, but they weren't game planning for him during the preseason. But I am going to give them a nod at least to get third in the division, and fourth will be the Giants. The Giants have just looked like a mess. And I know it's preseason. You can't tell anything with preseason. As well as teams do sometimes, as well as teams don't do well. But there's just something about it. I don't know. They just look to be a mess for whatever reason. And so I got to go Giants fourth in the division this year. The wild cards, I'm going to go Minnesota, and I'm going to go Arizona. I don't think there's much of a surprise there. I think Arizona will be the first wild card, Minnesota will be the second wild card. So that brings us to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 51 in Houston. Again, this is a tough one. I tried to think of trends and kind of think about, okay, well, what could this team do? What could that team do? In the end, I got to go with my first choice. And my first choice is going to be, coming out of the AFC, is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like the Steelers. I think this is almost like one of their kind of, they got a lot of veterans on that team. That might be kind of almost like the last run, for some of these guys. I think Roethlisberger will still be around for a few years, but I think that this might be one of those years where the Steelers, they've been a bit disappointing at times in the postseason years past. I think this year they put it together in the postseason, and they get the Super Bowl 51. And coming out of the NFC, I say this because I think they're going to be the number one seed in the NFC. I think they're going to have home field throughout. I know they've lost some games at home in recent years. They're not as unbeatable at home that maybe at one point they were, but I still got to give it up to the 12th man. I still got to give it up to, my favorite quarterback in the league is Russell Wilson, so I still got to give it up to Russell. I think he's going to be the MVP this year too. So I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks and MVP Russell Wilson to come out of the NFC. So we're going to have the Seahawks and Steelers in Super Bowl 51, a rematch of Super Bowl 40 when it was in Detroit that year, where the Steelers, of course, won a kind of an ugly game. I think it will always be remembered as the Flag Fest. All those crazy calls that went against Seattle and everything. And Big Ben, of course, his second year in the league. Jerome Bettis' swan song, and the Steelers go on to win Super Bowl 40 that year. I believe Hines Ward was the MVP. So I got to go rematch. I was thinking about rematches. For whatever reason, I just have this vision of a rematch in a Super Bowl. I don't want to go, Seahawks, Patriots. One thing, I'm just tired of seeing the Patriots in Super Bowls, so I want to see someone else in there. So I got to go Steelers, Seahawks in a rematch of Super Bowl 40. This time it's Super Bowl 51, and the winner of Super Bowl 51 in Houston, Texas, will be. And it's kind of funny because this guy also plays baseball in the off season during spring training for the Texas Rangers. So he goes and wins a championship in the state of Texas, and I gotta go with my guy Russell, right? Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. I know this is the older logo, but the Seahawks win Super Bowl 51. I think the Legion of Boom comes back this year with a vengeance, and the Seahawks with the home field gets them into the Super Bowl. and in Super Bowl 51. It's going to be a good game. Close, maybe one of those just back and forth type games, even though two good defenses are going at it. I think the offenses, a lot of offensive weapons in that one. I think it would be a pretty exciting Super Bowl to watch, and I think Russell Wilson avenges the memories of that late interception in Super Bowl 49 against New England and gets another ring in Super Bowl 51 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Seattle Seahawks are my pick for the Super Bowl 51 champions. I have them beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in a classic Super Bowl. It's going to be a good one, I think. In Houston, the Seahawks, 12th man, raise that flag yet again. There you go. You guys win your second Super Bowl championship in 4 seasons. I hope it's not long before I can say that about my beloved Eagles. But, that's how I see things going this season. I hope I'm a little better with my picks this year than I was last season. But that's how I see it broken down. Again, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 51 in Houston, Texas, where the Texans play, I should say. Anyhow, that's going to do it for me. My annual pick for the NFL is complete, and if I'm right about these picks, I'm looking at you, NFL Network. I want you to get me on there, okay? During the week of the Super Bowl. How about that? I challenge you, Michael Irvin. All right, playmaker. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed the vid. We'll see about the picks. Hey, you know what? I could be, it's like anything else. You rip them up through the season. What the heck was I doing picking that team, right? But anyhow, it's all good and fun. Making me preseason picks. You never know what can happen. You have fun with it. That's what it is. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed the vid, and I hope you I hope my predictions come somewhat correct this year. I want to do a little better than I did last year. Last year, I just want to take a mulligan on that one. But anyhow, thanks for watching as always. As I said, Season of the Fan Season 3 will start in earnest, I believe, next Friday night. Just before the first weekend of the NFL. Of course, the season starts on Thursday night. Maybe I'll make the vid on Thursday night. Start of the season. Maybe I'll make the vid. I'll do a little, talk about what I look for the season as far as the Eagles. Of course, it got a little more interesting last 24 hours with the Bradford trade, and now it could be Wentz starting in Week 1 if he's healthy. Hey, that's pretty cool. But, we'll see how things go. I will have that video up either Thursday or Friday. I'm kind of leaning towards Thursday, but we'll see. If anything else, I'll certainly have that vid up between Thursday and Friday at some point to kickstart Season of the Fan Season 3. Philadelphia Eagles 2016-2017 season. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. Big shout-outs to all my subscribers. Keep subscribing to my channel. You're going to see a lot of great stuff throughout the season, and of course with the jersey collecting and everything, I got a lot of stuff going on in this channel. You guys know this. All right, everyone, that's my picks. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.